Hey everyone, welcome back to Motherhood on the Move with yours truly, Brittany Nettles. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who showed up last week and rallied for the launch of Motherhood on the Move. I am eternally and deeply grateful for everyone who listened and shared and liked and commented and subscribed. Y'all are the real ones, and I sincerely appreciate all of you. And I'm just mega excited, and I'm glad that that excitement was shared. So, thank you again. Welcome back. I am very excited to talk about this week's topic, the art of slowing down and the massive transition into motherhood. I think it's a relevant topic for a lot of my new mom friends out there. I've found myself sharing my personal experience one on one, and I feel like a lot of people out there would benefit from a little glance into that conversation that I've been having privately with some of my new mom friends. So, with that said, the transition into motherhood. I don't think I appreciated how deeply I struggled with the transition itself. It was unexpected, and I don't think I realized it was happening until like yesterday. Like literally a year after everything went down, I was like, oh wow, I really struggled, and I don't think I appreciated it until I was on the other side of things. And sometimes that's just how things happen for me. I don't realize until I'm totally through whatever it is that I'm going through that I deeply appreciate either, what happened or how I was feeling. Maybe we just can chalk that up to reflection. Like I took a moment to pause and reflect. But let it be known that my first 2 months of being a mom were challenging, and I struggled. I'm very grateful that I didn't have any major postpartum anxiety or depression, but I definitely had baseline anxiety, and I was definitely feeling deflated at times. Being a high performer and a mover and someone who is used to having routines and schedules, and I wouldn't call myself a rigid type A, but definitely a rigid type B. And I like to get up early. I like to slowly sip my coffee. I like to scroll Instagram and think about what I want to post and get my workout in or my run in for the day and have a slow breakfast and plan my day, clear out emails, take phone calls, go to the office, get coffee, go to the store, run client appointments. Like I liked having flexibility, and when that flexibility came to a screeching halt, I told myself that I was prepared for it, but I don't think like my nervous system was prepared for it. The first few weeks of parenthood are always easy. Your newborn is a potato. I found myself taking conference calls, which I wasn't totally proud of, but I definitely was motivated to. Some of my clients, as luck would have it, found their forever home when I was just in the thick of the newborn postpartumness, and I wanted to show up for them. But was I taking phone calls, conference calls with clients and their attorneys at a week postpartum with a sleeping newborn on my lap? I absolutely was. Did we get it done? We absolutely did. Am I proud of it? Absolutely not. And, I reflect and look back, and I think I just expected myself to cruise into motherhood and make the transition seamlessly when in hindsight, it wasn't seamless at all. I struggled once I fell out of my routine, and our routine became a little bit unpredictable, especially as our son Teddy got older and wasn't napping on his own. And, that's a whole podcast in itself, is nap schedules and nap training, and all of it is a lie. I will tell you that. Sorry to the moms out there who nap train their kids. I just have been unsuccessful at it and drowsy but awake. I don't know her. But I digress. When Teddy became more aware of his surroundings and wasn't napping through anything and everything in every conference call. It was hard for me to be nimble because I was so used to like having the flexibility. And fortunately, I work with so many parents who are like, girl, I get it. Call me when you can. No problem. I ended up moving some of my calls and some of my primary working hours to the evening, relying on my team for the daytime operations. And that in itself was invaluable and helped me survive. But I don't think that I appreciate how much of an adjustment everything was and the gravity of everything and how much it took a toll on like my mental health and my nervous system. And it stressed me out because I was no longer in control. My infant was in control. And, frankly, he is and was the most important thing, was and is. And I regret nothing. And all of that jazz, but it was freaking hard to slow down and not just like on the work side of things. I was just chatting with one of my buddies who just welcomed her firstborn into the world. I got to meet him yesterday. So cute. But I got some one-on-one time with her and I was like, "How are you doing?" And she made a few comments around the house. I popped over to not only meet her son, but I was like, "Hey, you're doing laundry. Can I help you out? Like, what can I do for you? I'm not just here to see your baby. I'm here to see you and support you. I brought food." Stuff like that. And she was over doing laundry. She was like, "Oh no, like, truly nothing." But I wanted to genuinely underscore that I was there to help her. And as we were walking around the house, she was pointing out Amazon boxes and she was stressed about those. And she's like, pre-baby, all these boxes would have been unboxed and put away and recycling in the bin. And I just stopped her and I said, "It's okay if your house is messy. You are 2 weeks postpartum. You are navigating a whole new life, a whole new world. You are navigating a whole new schedule. Not to mention you are physically tired. You just gave birth. You are healing. And that is just something to acknowledge. And it's hard to acknowledge because I think we give birth and then, everyone minimizes just the gravity of all of that, the physical commitment and the physical recovery that's needed. You're just expected to suddenly like take home this baby and be on 24/7 and available and able to function on like a few hours of sleep. And if you're nursing or whatever you're doing, you're expected to show up. And it's so hard to show up for yourself, for your spouse, for your partner, for your child, but you do it anyway. And everything else, it's okay if everything else falls by the wayside. And it's okay if your chores go undone for a while. And easier said than done. Now I have that coaching and now I can give that advice of it's okay. Give yourself grace. Give yourself room to breathe. Like give yourself the compassion that you extend to other people. But I didn't even give that to me in the moment because I came home from the hospital post cesarean. I had a cesarean and I was recovering from massive abdominal surgery and I'm over here the next day, well, not the next day, but a few days once we got home, doing the dishes, tidying the countertops. We all know that I'm deeply triggered by the countertops, and I probably always will be. So I still will probably do this with kid number 2, but I'm going to tell myself, sit down, heal, be with your child, let your husband take care of it. Not that Nick didn't offer it, but I'm just like, again, my type B-ness loves everything in a place, and I know where those places are, and I'm not going to turn around and criticize him. And I just did it myself because that's just who I am and that's just like how I'm hardwired. But it's easier said than done. And the message that I want to send to all moms out there, whether you're a new mom or you're a third or fourth or fifth time mom, just give yourself compassion, kindness, grace, and space to just be present and forget about the chores. Excuse my French, but like fuck the chores, fuck the boxes. If you need to order takeout, order takeout. If you need to bring in a cleaner, bring in a cleaner. If you need to have a messy house for a while, let it be messy. Now is not your time. And now is the time to just devote to baby and yourself and healing and maybe grieving what your old life was. Again, I was so used to having my things a certain way, my days structured a certain way. And when all of that kind of fell off, I didn't appreciate how difficult the transition was and how much of a toll it took on my mental health. And I want that to be completely known that it's normal. And I want you to be able to identify that early so you can give yourself that coaching that I wish I could have given myself in the early days. If you need to turn around and leave the baby at home with your partner and say, hey, be right back. I just need to go jam in my car and crank up the stereo and go to Starbucks and get myself an iced latte. You do that. You take that time and, let your partner do that too. Because, everybody does need the break. Everybody needs the space to breathe. And sometimes if you just need to get away from the clutter and the chaos, that's okay too. The transition to motherhood and parenthood is so deep. I don't think people appreciate it until, again, they're on the other side of it. You have this idea of how your postpartum is going to go and how your first year as a parent is going to go. And for the most part, it's gone according to plan, but I was absolutely surprised by how much I was challenged by trying to do it all, which is like, surprise. It's impossible to do it all. And when you try to do it all and you don't ask for help, it gets really challenging and really hard. I do think that I didn't take the maternity leave that I told myself I was going to take as a self-employed business owner and a team that's operating. It was impossible for me to take a full maternity leave, but I did promise myself that I was going to take a quasi maternity leave, and my team and Heidi and Jen, we all planned for that time to come, and we had ops set up so that I could step away for a little bit, and I would always be available. I'm only a phone call or a text away, but I broke my own promise to myself and I didn't take a maternity leave. And I wish that I did, and I hope with kid number 2 that I do, but knowing myself, I'm still going to be plugged in some way, shape, or form. But I should have either taken the break or I should have asked for help early on, and I should have hired our nanny Ro sooner, and that probably would have relieved me of a lot of the pressure that I put on myself to perform and show up and resume habits and patterns and rituals and routines that like were so deeply embedded in me and frankly like made me happy. I don't see my therapist at the moment, but like all of those things feel like therapy to me, especially like working out, which I made sure that I did pretty regularly and I made time for. Definitely scaled back. I know that I mentioned I joined a mom gym, Strong Moms. That's been my sanctuary. But if I either slowed down or truly gave myself a break early on, I think I would have had a much more healthy postpartum period. And again, I just think that's my message is when you transition to parenthood, whether that's the first time or the 5th time, give yourself time to transition. Let things be messy. Be in the shit for a little while. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've said that to my mom friends, like, and my non-mom friends. The shit could look like a lot of things, and it's okay to just be in it every now and then because it's just so incredibly temporary, and that's okay. And I think when you acknowledge that and you embrace that and you put that in your back pocket for whenever you need it and you reach back in there and take it out and let that be your little message, like it's okay to be in the shit and it's okay to slow down and it's okay for things to be chaotic and out of sorts for a little bit. And that's because you're doing like really awesome things, especially if you're applying it to parenthood. You are raising and growing a tiny human being, and that is incredibly and deeply profound. So with all that in mind, I hope that everyone just takes a moment to slow down and really appreciate where they are in their own journey. Whether you're up or you're down at the moment, just appreciate where you are. Take a moment to stop and reflect and see either how far you've come, where you plan to go, what you've already done. And I think ultimately you're going to appreciate kind of where you are at your point in time a little bit more. And I think you are going to realize that either you need a little bit more help or maybe you don't. And whatever you need at the moment is perfectly okay.